You finished solo leveling. You watched the anime. You read the manhwa twice. And now there's a Jinwoo-shaped hole in your life that nothing seems to fill. I get it. So today, we're ranking 10 manhwa that don't just scratch that itch. Some of them do it better. We're judging on power progression, art quality, and how hard these stories grip you by the throat and refuse to let go. Let's get into it. Number 10 on our list is Shadow Slave. Sunny grew up with nothing, so when the nightmare spell chooses him as one of the awakened, it should be his lucky break. Instead, he's dropped into a ruined nightmare world where monsters and rival awakened are both trying to kill him, and the power he's given comes with a fatal catch attached. At first, I thought this was another chosen kid gets strong story. What really surprised me was how bleak and punishing it stays. Sunny isn't overpowered, he's scraping by, and that desperation makes every fight feel like it actually matters. The horror elements aren't decoration, they're the whole point. Status: ongoing, Chapter 5, plus. This one earns 9.2 expert points because it trades power fantasy for genuine dread, and that trade pays off. Number 9 on our list is Swordmaster's youngest son. Jin Run Kandel is the failure of the greatest swordsman family alive, kicked out, forgotten, and left to die. Then he gets a second life, a body full of untapped talent, and a very literal deal with a god. This time, he's not fighting for the family name, he's fighting for himself. I'll admit the early chapters lean hard into familiar reincarnation beats, but what won me over was Jin's attitude. He's selfish in a way that feels refreshing instead of villainous, and the sword choreography is some of the cleanest in the genre. Watching a failure out-scheme his entire bloodline never gets old. Status: ongoing, Chapter 208 plus. It lands 9.0 expert points for turning a tired premise into something with real bite. Number 8 on our list is Level Up with the Gods. Yuan Kim already lived through the apocalypse once, climbed the tower, fought beside the inner gods, and still lost against the outer gods. Now he's back at the very beginning, returnee memories intact, with one shot to do it right. What really surprised me here is how little Yuan relies on brute strength. He wins through information, knowing exactly which fights to avoid and which allies to recruit early. The early pacing takes a minute to find its footing, but once the returnee angle kicks in, it's relentless. Status: ongoing, Chapter 169 plus. This one takes home 9.1 expert points for making strategy feel just as thrilling as power. Number 7 on our list is Chronicles of the Demon Faction. Chun Ha-jin was the strongest assassin in the orthodox Murim, until his own side got him killed. He wakes up reincarnated as the despised third young master of the enemy faction, the very demonic cult he used to hunt. At first, I thought this would be another straightforward revenge plot. Instead, it turns into something sharper. Ha-jin using an assassin's cold precision to actually rebuild a broken faction from the inside. The art during fight sequences is brutal in the best way, and the political maneuvering keeps every chapter tense. Status: ongoing, Chapter 185 plus. It earns 9.0 expert points for making a wrong body reincarnation feel like a strategic goldmine instead of a gimmick. Number 6 on our list is The Return of the Crazy Demon. Izaha is obsessed with martial arts to the point of madness. After stealing a treasure from the demon cult leader and falling to what should have been his death, he wakes up years in the past, right back to his humiliating days as a lowly waiter, getting beaten for crimes he didn't commit. I'll admit the title had me expecting pure chaos, and honestly, that's exactly what it delivers, in the best way. What surprised me was the comedy woven into the brutality. Zaha's unhinged confidence makes even side characters memorable. Status: ongoing, Chapter 210 plus. This one scores 9.1 expert points for balancing insanity and heart better than it has any right to. Number 5 on our list is Demonic Emperor. Ifan Zhou spent 1,000 years as the Demon King before betrayal ended his reign. His last-ditch reincarnation goes sideways, though, dropping him into the body of a lowly servant, one spiritually bonded to a noble woman he can't seem to stop protecting. What really surprised me was the sheer scale of this one. 900 plus chapters means slow burn world building most series can't sustain, but the payoff is a genuinely massive power structure to climb. The early art isn't flashy, but it matures fast alongside the story. Status: ongoing, Chapter 900 plus. It pulls in 9.3 expert points for offering more sheer content and world depth than almost anything else on this list. Number 4 on our list is Elicide. Jiwoo secretly uses cat-like reflexes to save people without anyone noticing. Then he crosses paths with Kaden, an elite secret agent trapped in the body of a fat, grumpy house cat. Together, they're forced to team up against threats neither one saw coming. At first, I thought this was a comedy series with light action sprinkled in. What really surprised me was how seamlessly it shifts into genuinely high-stakes superpower battles without losing its warmth. The art is some of the most fluid in the industry, and the Jiwoo-Kaden dynamic carries every single chapter. Status: ongoing, chapter 414+. This one earns 9.4 expert points because it's rare to find a series this funny that also draws fights this good. Number 3 on our list is The Legend of the Northern Blade. Muon's entire sect is destroyed when his father is framed for treason and forced to take his own life. Left with nothing, Muon survives alone in the mountains, training in his family's forgotten techniques until he's ready to return and burn it all down. I'll admit the setup sounds like a standard revenge tale. What really surprised me was the emotional weight behind every fight. This isn't power fantasy. It's a slow, satisfying reclamation of everything Muon lost, and since it's complete, there's zero risk of an unfinished cliffhanger. Status: complete. Chapter 202. It scores 9.5 expert points for delivering a full, tightly paced revenge story with an ending that actually sticks the landing. Number 2 on our list is Murim Logan. Jin Tae-kyung is a low-rank hunter who stumbles into a VR machine and gets pulled into a martial arts world called Murim. He fights his way out and brings his hard-earned strength back to the real world, but he can't stay away because the NPCs he left behind feel more real to him than most people. What really surprised me was that emotional hook. This isn't just gamer gets strong, it's a guy choosing to go back into danger for friends who technically aren't even human. The genre blending between VR mechanics and traditional Murim combat gives it a flavor nothing else on this list has. Status: ongoing, chapter 250+. This one takes 9.4 expert points for making loyalty, not power, the real engine of the story. And number 1 on our list is Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. Dokja Kim is the only person who ever finished reading an obscure web novel, right before that novel's apocalypse becomes real life. Monsters, sadistic survival scenarios, and horrifying plot twists start playing out exactly as written. The difference is, Dokja already knows what happens next. At first, I thought the reader becomes the protagonist hook would wear thin fast. What really surprised me is how it does the opposite. Every twist you think you saw coming gets subverted, and the cast is stacked with some of the best written characters in the entire genre. This is peak if you liked solo leveling territory but with sharper writing. Status: ongoing, chapter 311+. It earns 9.7 expert points, the highest on this list, for combining meta-narrative genius with characters you'll actually grieve over. That's the list. 10 manhwa that prove there's a whole world beyond Jinwoo worth exploring. Drop your own pick for number 1 in the comments. I want to see if you agree with mine, and if this saved you from another 3-hour what should I read next spiral, you know what to do.